The way we know we're assuming something too is that when someone goes to try to give us the answer, we still don't want to hear it. We're very resistant. Discernment is not about us. Discernment is about God, right?
They say what you praying for. Jesus, he's our present hope.
CBA says, hey there, BA, says, how do you know if you're receiving discernment from God regarding a person, situation, or only making an assumption? Not sure how that fits into what we're talking about right now, but I'm gonna go ahead and answer it anyway, BA. I guess you figure you get your little question in, huh, BA? Ain't nothing wrong with it. Now, let me deal with that for a second. There's always biblical evidence. I'm read the question again. How do you know if you're receiving discernment from God regarding a person or situation, or only making an assumption? I tell you, one way you can differentiate those is normally when I'm making an assumption, I got a bunch of emotion involved. It's a bunch of me. It's a bunch of how I feel about it. When it's discernment, it's like neither here nor there. It can have nothing to do with you whatsoever. When emotions start getting involved, I would really start throwing up some red flags. And it doesn't mean you're not discerning, but it does mean that you're being influenced by some other element of your being, emotions, or mentally, or issues, whatever. So we can identify. Yeah, it doesn't, BA. That's okay though. We can identify whether we are assuming something now. And this, I'm liking the question though. Still, the way we know we're assuming something too is that when someone goes to try to give us the answer, we still don't want to hear it. We're very resistant. Discernment is not about us. Discernment is about God, right? It's distinguishing basically truth. Okay, and so when you're making an assumption, we often don't want to be wrong. So even if the person comes back and says something different, we continue to be combative. And if us being combative steps outside the word of God, and I don't think the word of God is combative, but I'm saying, like, if now when we're responding to them, we're not responding with biblical text, we already know something wrong. Discernment is going to stick very close to the word of God. And if it becomes necessary, discernment is going to be backed up by the word of God. Biggest difference there, BA, is that you'll see that our emotions are often driving us in our assumptions. Okay. And let me say this: just because someone makes an assumption and it's right doesn't mean you weren't driven by your emotions. A lot of times people think the outcome justifies the way getting there, and that's not right. That's like saying my little girl is really, really sick. She's gonna die, and I need $40,000, and I go rob a bank and I get $40,000, and my baby get her surgery and her life is saved. No, that's not right. The pathway there was wrong. The $40,000, yeah, that's good, but the way you got it wasn't right. And so just because something is right, or I was right, and I've seen this, I'm bringing this up because I've seen this before in my life. Just because something was right, or I was right about that, no, it still can be an assumption. I mean, at some point in time, people are gonna make assumptions. They're gonna be right. We must stick with the word of God. We must stick with biblical truth. And when we stick with biblical truth, we are always safe. So I hope that answers your question, BA. I'll take a follow-up on it if you would like.